She made more money than every studio head in Hollywood. But that same year police dragged her away in handcuffs for something most people wouldn't even speak about. Another actress, sitting on a small fortune, shoplifted baby clothes she didn't need. One legend locked herself inside a mansion for half a century, surviving on sleeping pills and fear that someone would poison her. These weren't just breakdowns. They were the buried truths behind Hollywood's most out-of-control women, stories the studios spent decades trying to erase. Greta Garbo didn't fade from fame. She fled from it. In 1941, at the height of her power, MGM offered her $270,000 to stay in the spotlight, a fortune worth millions today. She walked away without hesitation. No interviews, no appearances, just silence. For the next 50 years, she lived like a ghost inside her Beverly Hills home. Neighbors whispered of seeing her pacing the garden at 3 in the morning, wrapped in the same coat she'd worn for decades, mumbling in Swedish to no one. Garbo's beauty had made her immortal, but inside she was terrified. She had suffered from agoraphobia since 1925, convinced restaurants would poison her. She swallowed up to 20 sleeping pills a night, hid $300,000 in cash around her house because she didn't trust banks, and paid a private detective to follow the stalker who'd shadowed her for 8 years. She filled journals rating the people in her life from 1 to 10 on trust. Most barely reached 3. Her final entry, written 3 days before her death at 84, read simply, "Still alone. Still safe. Still Greta." She died worth $32 million, but no one really knew her. Hedy Lamarr, hailed as the most beautiful woman alive, was another kind of enigma. By the 1960s, stores across Beverly Hills had circulated her photo as a warning. She was known for slipping items into her bag with a graceful distraction. When police caught her in 1966 with stolen baby clothes and bottles, they were stunned to discover she had $100,000 sitting untouched in her account. Experts said it wasn't theft for need but for something missing inside her. A craving for control, perhaps, or a ghost of motherhood she could never quite grasp. Decades later, nearly blind and worth millions from her patent on frequency-hopping technology the military had used without credit, she did it again. In 1991, she calmly stole $2,148 worth of eye drops and laxatives, all captured on security cameras. Doctors said it was self-sabotage, her way of daring the world to see her fail. Dorothy Dandridge seemed to have it all when she became the first black woman nominated for an Oscar in 1954. Yet her personal life unraveled quietly behind the glamour. Her daughter, born with severe brain damage, needed lifelong care, and Dorothy paid for it even as her money disappeared. Her husband drained her savings, leaving her bankrupt with just $2 to her name. Haunted by childhood abuse and crushed under the weight of racism and rejection, she turned to alcohol and pills, sometimes swallowing 18 in a day just to function. On September 8, 1965, she was found dead on her bathroom floor at 42, her body surrounded by pill bottles, her daughter institutionalized for life. Veronica Lake, the tiny blonde with the famous peekaboo hairstyle, became a wartime icon. Yet off-screen she was a disaster. She was chronically late, bit a co-star hard enough to require stitches, and hid pregnancies during filming. After losing a premature baby, she drank heavily, 2 bottles of whiskey a day, some said. By the 1950s she was finished. Arrested repeatedly for public drunkenness, she ended up bartending in a cheap Manhattan hotel for $60 a week. When she died in 1973 of hepatitis and kidney failure, she had $500 to her name. Rita Hayworth, the screen goddess behind Gilda, suffered a different kind of destruction. At Columbia Pictures, studio head Harry Cohn stalked her, bugged her dressing room, and fined her mercilessly for the smallest mistakes. He worked her to exhaustion, 16-hour days for weeks. When she resisted, he punished her. Decades later, the slurred speech and confusion people blamed on alcohol turned out to be early-onset Alzheimer's. By the time doctors discovered it, she was nearly gone, her fortune drained, her brilliance dimmed. Jean Harlow, Hollywood's first platinum blonde, burned bright and fast. She courted scandal, posing nude beneath silk gowns and carrying on affairs with married men. After one affair led to a secret abortion arranged by MGM, she was never the same. When her husband was found shot dead, the studio covered up rumors of murder to protect her image. Exhausted and sick, She collapsed on set in 1937 and died of kidney failure at just 26, leaving behind mystery and myth. Olive Thomas, a silent film beauty, died in 1920 after swallowing mercury bichloride in a Paris hotel. Some said she mistook it for medicine. Others whispered she did it after discovering her husband's infidelity and disease. Her death became Hollywood's first major scandal, launching decades of speculation and sorrow. Louise Brooks, with her razor-sharp bob and defiant charm, broke every rule. She loved men and women openly and paid the price for it. When her lover, Marion Davies's niece, was institutionalized for being gay and later jumped to her death, Brooks shut down emotionally. Her career fell apart, but she refused to conform. Asked later about her coldness, she said simply that she lived on her own terms. Pola Negri came from Poland and arrived in Hollywood demanding luxury, black velvet walls, orchids, chandeliers, and got it. Her love affair with Rudolph Valentino made her infamous, and her dramatic collapse at his funeral kept her on the front pages. But when sound came to film, her heavy accent ended her career. She lived out her life insisting she had discovered Valentino in Garbo, still acting the star long after the lights had dimmed. Frances Farmer's fall was the darkest. Arrested in 1942, she spiraled into violence and breakdowns until her mother committed her to an asylum. There, she endured insulin shock treatments and electroshock therapy, and some claimed even a lobotomy. When she emerged years later, she was hollowed out, working in hotels for $1.50 an hour. She died quietly in 1982. Her legend resurrected only after her death. Barbara Payton was once Hollywood's next big thing, earning thousands a week, until a brutal love triangle ended in blood. After her fiancé was beaten nearly to death by her lover, she was blacklisted. Desperate, she turned to prostitution, at first for wealthy clients, later for $20 encounters on Sunset Boulevard. By the time she died in 1967, she was 39, broke, and destroyed by drink. Lana Turner's story was one of survival at a terrible cost. As a teenager, she was forced into an abortion arranged by MGM, her screams muffled in a Hawaiian hotel room. Years later, her relationship with mobster Johnny Stompanato turned violent. When he attacked her in front of her daughter, 14-year-old Cheryl stabbed him to death. The court called it self-defense, but Lana's life was never the same. The glamour faded, replaced by vodka and regret. Judy Garland's tragedy began when she was a child. MGM controlled every breath she took, feeding her amphetamines to keep her thin and awake and barbiturates to make her sleep.